Then the Lord rained on Sodom and Gomorrah sulfur and fire from the Lord out of heaven. And he overthrew those cities and all the valley and all the inhabitants of the cities and what grew on the ground. This chilling passage from Genesis paints a vivid, almost apocalyptic picture of divine annihilation. For millennia, it has stood as a powerful narrative of judgment, often understood as a theological allegory. But what if this ancient story, frequently dismissed as pure myth, contains echoes of a very real cataclysmic event? An event so devastating it left undeniable traces, challenging our deepest assumptions about the biblical past. This journey compels us to ask, did Sodom and Gomorrah, as depicted in Genesis, truly exist as historical cities? And can contemporary archaeological findings genuinely uncover the terrifying physical reality of their destruction, potentially upending centuries of theological and historical understanding? This is the very essence of what has been controversially labeled the Cosmic Cataclysm Theory. However, before we delve into this radical new perspective, it's crucial to understand the long-established orthodox position on these legendary cities. For many within mainstream academia, the narrative of Sodom and Gomorrah is primarily understood as a theological allegory or a moral parable. Scholarship suggests that the Genesis account serves a didactic purpose, focusing on themes of divine judgment and righteousness, rather than offering a precise historical record of specific cities or events. Previous archaeological efforts to definitively locate these cities of the plain, such as excavations at sites like Bab el-Adra and Numeira in the southeastern Dead Sea region, have largely failed to achieve widespread consensus. These sites, while showing evidence of destruction, often present dating discrepancies or other inconsistencies that prevent a clear identification with the biblical narrative. This traditional perspective anchors our understanding, but it does so within a specific historical and geographical context that is essential to fully grasp. The Bronze Age Near East, specifically around 2000 to 1500 BCE, was a crucible of civilization. This era saw the rise and fall of powerful city-states, intricate trade networks spanning vast distances, and frequent regional conflicts that constantly reshaped political landscapes. Within this dynamic world lay the southern Jordan Valley, bordering the unique and geologically active Dead Sea region. Its hypersaline waters, rich bitumen deposits, and susceptibility to seismic tremors provided a dramatic backdrop for human settlement and indeed for powerful narratives. Ancient peoples, observing these phenomena, often wove actual events like earthquakes or sudden geological shifts together with cultural memory and theological interpretations. Such a process could transform a natural disaster into a potent story of divine intervention, shaping collective understanding for generations. This intricate tapestry of history and narrative is precisely where the traditional accounts of Sodom and Gomorrah reside. However, the seemingly immutable nature of these stories was about to be challenged by an unexpected discovery that defied conventional understanding. Into this setting stepped Stephen Collins and his team, who since 2005 have been meticulously excavating Tal el-Hammam in the southern Jordan Valley. What they unearthed was extraordinary, the remains of a truly massive Middle Bronze Age city, far larger and more prosperous than any other known settlement in that region at the time. This wasn't just another ancient ruin, it was a thriving urban center. But it was the nature of its demise that truly arrested their attention. Across the entire site, they discovered a distinct, widespread destruction layer, unlike anything caused by warfare or typical earthquakes. This wasn't a gradual decline, but an instantaneous, cataclysmic event. What they found embedded within this unprecedented layer, however, was extraordinary, pointing towards something far more extreme. The destruction layer at Tal el-Hammam proved to be a forensic goldmine. Archaeologists unearthed pottery shards, not simply broken, but visibly melted and bubbled, as if subjected to an instantaneous, extreme heat. Mud bricks, typically robust, were found liquefied and vitrified, transformed into a glass-like material. Crucially, the site yielded shocked quartz, microscopic grains exhibiting planar deformation features, definitive indicators of immense shock pressures and temperatures. These are not signs of conventional warfare or earthquake damage. Scholarship suggests that such widespread, intense heating, exceeding 2,000 degrees Celsius for mere seconds, defies typical terrestrial explanations. According to a 2021 study published in Scientific Reports by Collins and his colleagues, these anomalies across the ancient city strongly suggest an unprecedented thermal event. But what exactly could have generated such devastating, localized power? This leads us directly to the Cosmic Cataclysm Theory, a hypothesis championed by Collins and his team. They propose that Tal el-Hammam was annihilated not by conventional warfare or geology, but by a low-altitude cosmic airburst. Imagine a celestial object, perhaps an asteroid or comet fragment, entering Earth's atmosphere and exploding several kilometers above the ground rather than impacting the surface. The most compelling modern parallel is the 1908 Tunguska event in Siberia. That single mid-air explosion, paradoxically silent to direct observers, unleashed energy equivalent to 10 to 15 megatons of TNT. To provide verbal data visualization, that's enough destructive force to instantaneously flatten an area the size of a major metropolitan region like Washington, D.C. or central London. Such a cataclysm at Tal el-Hammam would have generated a superheated shockwave capable of melting materials and causing the widespread vitrification observed. This kind of celestial fury, if it indeed struck Tal el-Hammam, carries a profound implication for our understanding of not just ancient history, but also the very origins of sacred narratives. If the Cosmic Cataclysm Theory holds true, then the implications are nothing short of revolutionary. This isn't just about a city's physical destruction, it's about the potential for a literal physical event to have directly inspired one of the most enduring and dramatic narratives in the Bible, the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. This paradoxically challenges the long-held Orthodox position that views these accounts primarily as allegorical, devoid of a tangible historical kernel. It suggests that ancient textual evidence, often considered purely mythical, might, however, be a cultural memory of a real celestial catastrophe, profoundly shaping religious thought for millennia. The provenance of the physical evidence at Tal el-Hammam, if definitively linked to such an event, would force a dramatic redaction of our understanding. But if the evidence for such an event is so compelling, why does this theory remain fiercely contested within academic circles, facing significant contradiction? Indeed, the narrative surrounding Tal el-Hammam is not merely one of archaeological discovery, but a complex tapestry woven with scientific debate, academic politics, and profound implications for biblical scholarship. To truly grasp the depth of this academic friction, we must first examine even more compelling evidence unearthed from the destruction layer, evidence that further deepens the mystery. Beyond the melted pottery and shocked quartz, the team at Tal el-Hammam uncovered diamondoids, microscopic carbon structures often associated with impact events. They also found iron-rich and silicon-rich spherules, tiny molten droplets characteristic of extraterrestrial impacts, similar to those found at known cosmic sites. However, most strikingly was the discovery of high concentrations of rare elements like iridium and platinum within the destruction layer. These elements are scarce in Earth's crust, but abundant in asteroids and comets. This extraordinary combination, alongside the precise carbon dating of the destruction layer to approximately 1650 BCE, which scholarship suggests aligns with a single sudden event, presents a powerful cumulative case. Each piece is significant. Collectively, they paint a picture that demands reevaluation. But what exactly does this tell us about the specific mechanism of such a catastrophic event, and how might it explain the biblical textual evidence? The proposed airburst mechanism posits that an asteroid or comet fragment detonated several kilometers above Tal el-Hammam. This low-altitude explosion would unleash a superheated thermal pulse, instantly vaporizing surfaces, followed by a devastating supersonic shockwave. This dual destructive force, far beyond any terrestrial fire or conventional weapon, accounts for the melted pottery and vitrified mud bricks. Furthermore, the unique provenance of elements like iridium and platinum, along with the diamondoids and spherules, strongly scholarship suggests an extraterrestrial origin. The Dead Sea region's environment, rich in bitumen and sulfur, could paradoxically have intensified this inferno. The thermal blast might have ignited these natural deposits, contributing to the textual evidence of sulfur and fire raining down. This compelling provenance offers a scientific motive for the destruction. However, despite this detailed reconstruction and the seemingly robust evidence, this theory faces significant contradiction from established academic circles. These challenges stem from several key areas. Foremost among them are the dating discrepancies. The 16050 BCE date for Tel el-Hammam's destruction paradoxically places it firmly in the Middle Bronze Age, which often does not align with traditional biblical chronologies for Abraham, typically placed centuries earlier or later. Furthermore, mainstream scholarship suggests methodological critiques of the scientific reports paper, with some academics, such as Robert Mullins or Bryant Wood, questioning its peer review process and offering alternative interpretations for the melted pottery, suggesting it could be industrial slag or natural geological vitrification rather than cosmic impact evidence. The site's location itself, however, is also not universally accepted as aligning with all textual evidence describing the cities of the plain. This deep divide isn't merely about scientific data. It touches upon the very politics of academic interpretation and the making of historical narratives. Indeed, this isn't just a debate over pottery shards or carbon dates. It's a profound clash of methodologies and philosophical underpinnings. We see here the enduring tension between what's often termed biblical archaeology and the archaeology of the biblical period. The former, however, sometimes seeks to confirm specific biblical narratives through excavation, potentially leading to interpretations that align findings with textual evidence. The latter, conversely, approaches the region's history independently, allowing the material culture to speak for itself, wherever it may lead. Scholarship suggests that when archaeological discoveries appear too perfectly to corroborate religious texts, it can trigger significant academic backlash, raising questions of bias and perceived agendas. This dynamic shapes scholarly consensus, influencing which theories gain traction and how historical narratives undergo redaction. The very act of interpreting the past, therefore, is paradoxically intertwined with human agency and the intellectual frameworks we bring to the evidence. Understanding this inherent contradiction in academic approaches is crucial for a comprehensive view of Tal el-Hammam. Ultimately, the saga of Tal el-Hammam compels us to synthesize two powerful, often conflicting interpretations. The Cosmic Cataclysm Theory offers compelling provenance for a literal, devastating event, an intriguing bridge between textual evidence and physical reality. On the other, however, established scholarship suggests significant contradiction, citing dating discrepancies and alternative interpretations of the archaeological data. This paradoxically underscores archaeology's complex nature. It illuminates forgotten histories, yet can obscure easy answers, prompting continuous redaction of our understanding. What if the truth of Sodom and Gomorrah lies not in a simplistic choice between myth and history, but in a deeper, more nuanced convergence? This brings us to the profound what if at the heart of our inquiry. Scholarship suggests a scenario where human memory of a devastating natural phenomenon, perhaps the very cosmic airburst identified by its unique provenance, became inextricably intertwined with ancient theological frameworks of divine judgment. This redaction of an actual cataclysm into textual evidence of divine wrath would paradoxically explain both the archaeological contradiction and the narrative's enduring power. It urges us to consider the profound interplay between an actual event, cultural memory, and theological framing. To grasp this complex picture, let us now succinctly recap the core findings and the ongoing debates. Our investigation began with the powerful textual evidence of Sodom and Gomorrah, chronicling a narrative of divine destruction. We then explored the Tal el-Hammam excavation, revealing a thriving Middle Bronze Age city obliterated by an anomalous high-temperature event around 1650 BCE. The Cosmic Cataclysm Theory, supported by provenance like melted pottery, shocked quartz, spherules, and rare elements, proposes a cosmic airburst akin to Tunguska. However, this hypothesis encounters substantial contradiction from mainstream scholarship, citing dating discrepancies that paradoxically misalign with traditional biblical chronologies alongside methodological critiques. While the evidence is intriguing, scholarship suggests a cautious approach, acknowledging the valid concerns about interpretation. Yet, despite this comprehensive overview, the true nature of what transpired at Tal el-Hammam and its connection to the textual evidence of Sodom and Gomorrah remains a captivating enigma. The scholarship suggests that a definitive path forward demands continued rigorous analysis, free from predetermined conclusions, allowing the archaeological data to speak for itself, wherever it may lead. We are left, paradoxically, with more questions than answers, a testament to the persistent contradiction at the intersection of science and ancient narrative. This ongoing quest for truth is precisely why your perspective is so vital. What are your thoughts on this contentious theory? Do you find the provenance for a cosmic airburst compelling, or do the dating discrepancies and contradiction from mainstream scholarship suggest a more cautious approach? Share your insights and questions in the comments below. If you're fascinated by the hidden histories behind sacred texts and enjoy a deep, skeptical dive into ancient narratives, consider subscribing to Biblical Mysteries for more explorations. And speaking of blurring the lines between myth and history, our next video delves into another intriguing puzzle. To continue your journey into the enigmatic intersections of ancient texts and compelling archaeological findings, click here to explore the Nephilim, giants or misinterpretation. This deep dive uncovers another biblical mystery that paradoxically blurs the lines between myth and history, much like our discussion today. Delve into the textual evidence and scholarship surrounding these enigmatic figures, questioning whether they were literal giants or a cultural redaction of something else entirely. We invite you to continue unraveling these profound historical puzzles with Biblical Mysteries. After everything we just saw about the dating discrepancies and the contradiction with mainstream scholarship, how do you reconcile the cosmic airburst theory with ancient narrative truth? Comment below. I read and reply to every single one. This pattern of reinterpreting pivotal figures continues. Our next video uncovers how another critical narrative was altered. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and like this if you understood what others missed. Share the truth.